and welcome back to The Bias Cut. Today, we're going to be talking about this Olivia Rodrigo Babydoll dress controversy. Olivia Rodrigo is in our thumbnail here. However, we don't want to focus all of the attention onto her. It really, all of this from what we've seen from the data that we've collected online, this has nothing to do really with Olivia Rodrigo herself.
Yes.
It's more so just the culture surrounding female art or women artists and clothing. So we're going to dive into it and we're going to basically lay out all of the different arguments that we're seeing online and kind of come to a conclusion that you'll have to listen and see what our conclusion is.
And
watch to find out more.
Yeah, watch and find out.
And I feel like we should do a disclaimer on top of that. Livies, if you're here, I just want to say right now, like, we on this podcast range from Olivia Rodrigo neutral to Olivia Rodrigo positive. Like, we're not trying to come for anyone. We just want to add a little context because, this discourse has been really crazy. I mean, she wore this, was this over a month ago now? This was crazy.
Yeah.
But people are still talking about it. Like, it's still happening as we film this today on June 2nd.
People are getting a little bit too aggressive, and I think we kind of just want to distill the information and have a little talk about women and dress. If you want to join us, grab a little drink, a little snack, and if you like our content on our channel, feel free to give us a little like and a little follow or a little subscribe. We would really appreciate the support. And
we talk all about fashion and pop girlies and whatever we want. Yeah,
exactly.
So go check it out.
So let's get into it.
So to start, should we just introduce what this whole thing is for anyone
if you
who doesn't
don't know?
So Olivia Rodrigo did a Spotify Billions Club live concert. Don't know what that actually means. In Barcelona on May 8th. So this was a month ago. And she wore something that she probably thought nothing about, a little pink baby doll dress by the brand Generation 78 and some little bloomers underneath and black combat boots. All of this is very in line with her style as far as I can tell. This isn't anything new. It seems to be very, like I said, in line with the aesthetics of this album.
The Drop Dead music video came out before that, the first music video of this new era, and it was the one in the Louvre. And she had also in that music video, not the same baby doll dress, but a similar type of like kind of lingerie frilly type number.
A blue negligee kind of thing. So this is just a style that she seems to genuinely personally like. I do want to just preface that whole thing to say that.
There's a pretty long couple year history of her wearing this style of dress.
Yes.
Well, I should say this is definitely like a new era for her. It is a different vibe than she's done before, but it's not like a complete, like, it makes
complete
sense.
departure.
Yeah, because the Guts tour, there was like a lot of leather and a lot of like bodysuits and types of things. So this is it is very different, but I feel like the tone is still similar. It's just a very different take on it, which makes sense for a new album. She's older now. Like it's a thing. It's a new era.
I don't know very much about her, but from what I've seen of like paparazzi shots and stuff, this seems to be quite in line with her personal style. There are lots of like little brands, the independent brands have been doing this kind of style, this kind of shift style dress or like a looser fit, summer linens, flowy summer, blah, blah, blah. And she, from what I can tell in her personal style, gravitates towards those kind of looks.
Yes, I think that's a great way. It's definitely a big shift from her history, like stage performance wear. But it does seem, I wasn't shocked. It seems very much her vibe, like her daily life. Yeah.
So we say all of that. Everyone freaked out.
The think pieces, the Twitter threads.
We'll put all of the headlines. They'll be coming across the screen now. So Em, you're like, oh, fuck.
No, they won't.
Yeah, you won't be seeing that.
But you probably saw it in person in your life when you were scrolling, because everyone had something to say about it.
Yeah.
And I will say that the initial reaction was largely very negative. So people were accusing her of actively pandering to this like male pedophilic, I don't know if we have to censor that, but whatever, gaze, and sexualizing these kind of childlike clothing. There were a few, I'm sure there were parts of her fan base that were defending it.
Yes.
But in terms of like mainstream response, so du moi, do you guys know du moi?
Du moi. Yes.
Unfortunately.
Du moi. Yeah, unfortunately.
Have you guys heard how Dave Portnoy says it when he was going over all the Alex Cooper? He calls it like Demoximo.
Demoximo.
No, Demoximo. When they posted I think it was probably a PR thing.
I would assume
because it was it was just a photo of the concert. Not even mentioned. I don't think the caption even really
I don't think so.
made a comment on the outfit, but all of the comments were like, should I read a few out? Should we read a few?
Yeah, read a few out.
Nothing like wearing a diaper like a toddler and touching yourself on stage. This era of outfits look horrible on her. Okay. What is with the babyfication of older women these days, man? Older women, she's 23.
That's old, Sana. 23 is old. So.
Do you see what people on Stan Twitter are like, she's pushing 30?
Crazy.
No, we're pushing 30.
And it's so, literally, I am so close to 30. I'm actively approaching 30.
But it's just like, that's still so young. I can't.
Yeah, it's so young.
Not all the comments were entirely bad. Because some people say, if you see this dress and immediately think it's sexualizing toddlers, the problem is capital U!
Crazy.
Which that we'll get into. I don't necessarily agree with that either. You know,
I don't agree with
this
that.
is a very.
I think it's a little more nuanced than that.
Yes,
I think that's also a wild accusation to
put onto someone.
Yeah, because it's like we're allowed to be critical anyway.
We're allowed to recognize patterns that we may have seen before. And we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. But after this immediate backlash, a couple weeks later, the discourse, we see it changing a bit, shifting as it usually does, into more of a defense of Rodrigo and advocating more for a woman's right to wear what they want without being held responsible for the responses of men, which is also very valid. And it's a lot of, the subtitle I put here is "Feminists Fight Back." This is where we see it leaning into more of a conversation of gender and patriarchy and misogyny. The big words, the fun words. To wrap it all up, Olivia finally spoke out about it on a podcast, New York Times podcast, unfortunately, called Popcast. Not a good name.
Boo. My dyslexia struggles with podcasts because I read it as podcast, and so I'm like, podcast. I'm like,
that's really the best that they could come up with. Anyway, if you want to go see that, we can put the link in the description for that. The timestamp is 54:10 if you want to go to the exact moment. But essentially what she says is she was really confused by the response, kind of grossed out by the response, understandably, and just talked about how she wants her young audience to grow up feeling comfortable wearing whatever they want and not having to consider the responses of men. All of which I hope for too, Olivia.
Yeah, truly. I think that's like that is like a good overlying message to send out to young fans too. Like, I think the heart of it is there. I think it's just it's a tricky history.
So that's kind of laying it all out in terms of timeline. But I thought we could get into some of the, what I've called mitigating factors that play into this and make it a much more complicated topic than perhaps these two very polarized vocal sides are making it seem. I think first off, just like unavoidably, we are in the era of the release of the Epstein files, and that we have been inundated with this kind of, I don't even know
the
what to call it,
knowledge
but,
that
like,
so
material.
many people are evil and that
Yes.
they're living
Yeah.
among us and that they're not facing consequences for it.
Which
I
we
think
that's
even,
it.
here.
Yeah.
I think even broadly too, it is entirely post Me Too, and I think that has significantly changed our perception of the music industry and the film industry and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and like Maggie said, we haven't seen any arrests from that. Yeah. So I think it's kind of understood that the general public is very frustrated and perhaps looking for someone to blame or to release their anger onto, which I think plays a massive part in the response to this. I think that's why it happened with this particular outfit, because again, this is not the first time a pop star has worn a baby doll dress. Insert Sabrina Carpenter images.
And people have been really drawing that comparison.
Yeah.
Addison Rae, Gracie Abrams, the list goes on.
Well, it's
and that's
just very
modern.
much.
That's just modern.
Yes. When we talked about this on our Taylor Swift episode a few weeks ago, because the same thing happened to her with the release of her album. It's like, well, we can't get mad. We can't go and do something to get Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's not facing these consequences. So who can we yell at? Olivia Rodrigo. Like, clearly it's her fault.
And I think it goes into how, like, accessible these figures are, these pop stars are. Like, we see that image all the time. We feel like that's something that we can comment on and have the right to comment on.
When you are a public figure and you're putting your image, yourself out into the world in the way that these women do, and that any real famous person does, you are like opening yourself up like to a certain level of criticism for that. Like that is kind of part of the deal, you know? Like these pop stars, they live a very privileged life, but they do have to deal with all of these things. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, I agree with you, because I think it plays into like being aware of your public image and like and what you choose to do with your image too. I think unfortunately, because you're so accessible to people and you're such an easy like soundboard for people's like frustration and politics and frustration just in their lives, like it's something that you seriously have to consider of how of honestly, unfortunately, like what you wear and how you act, like,
well, speaking
which
of
isn't
image
great,
building, which, as we've established, is a key part of the pop star. Petra Collins is the creative director of this kind of album rollout. As I assume, she directed the music video for Drop Dead, but I do think she's directing the whole. As far as
Did she direct The Cure? I feel like I heard that she didn't. I'm not super up to date.
Maybe not, but I think she was involved in developing the aesthetic for the entire.
No, I mean, this newest music video wasn't Petra Collins, and I will say I've heard some of her fans be like take a breath because of that. But that's what I've seen.
There was another music video. My bad.
Yes, it was really cute.
But even if Petra Collins didn't direct anything, she did direct this music video. She done a lot of photo shoots with Olivia in the past and has talked about her kind of being this muse type subject for her.
Interesting.
So if you don't know who Petra Collins is, she is a creative director, artist, photographer that is largely responsible for the aesthetic of Euphoria, the first season. She kind of helped develop, again, the general aesthetic, the style, the ideas behind the makeup and the way it was shot. In the end, she was not working on that project because we're not going to get into that, but
we're not going to talk about Sam Levinson in this episode.
No, we're not. No, he is my Voldemort.
But if you are interested in maybe a 2-hour long episode of us ranting about Sam Levinson, comment down below.
Potentially 3 hours, given the conclusion of Euphoria, potentially 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, we're solving this off the brink of that.
Like,
we can't.
He is my big bad. But anyway, so she didn't end up officially participating on the project, but she has been credited as the inspiration behind a lot of that aesthetic. Yes. In her work, it's a lot about girlhood. She's exploring themes of girlhood. And she does explore like her own experience of being sexualized as a young age. She was part of the Tumblr era. She's an artist, so a lot of it comes from personal experience, so we can't really, it's gotten so dark. I'm so
I know, I've been noticing. I'm like, clearly a storm is rolling in.
A storm is coming. No, that's bad. I can't do that suddenly. Oh God, what do I do? Lighting change. I'm sorry, guys. You just got to deal with it as I speak. But my point was that I see a lot of people critiquing her style, and I do understand her critiques. But also, I think we do have to understand that she is an artist, and she is speaking from her own personal experience. And I think a lot of her art is her way of kind of working through a lot of these uncomfortable things that you experience when you are growing up presenting as a woman, you know. But people are getting a bit tired of Petra Collins, I think. I don't know, what do you both think?
I think it could potentially be, and I might be like so out of pocket here, but I feel like it could potentially be like her now getting involved in other projects means that she's taking her art and her aesthetic that is based in like her experiences, putting that onto other projects where maybe that experience and her aesthetic shouldn't exist, or maybe it gets tricky that aesthetic is existing there, because it's almost like you're like this. I think this is the difficult thing with like art and artists marketing themselves and like getting involved in other projects, is that it dilutes the like original intent of the art once you now have different boards to work around and like speak to and appease. Exactly. And so because of that, it like really changes the meaning of the art. And I think potentially with this Olivia Rodrigo situation, it's like, Petra Collins has this history and this specific message that she's trying to explore as an artist, which is really cool and great. But what happens when you put that onto someone else who maybe doesn't have that experience, or maybe does, but like now you're selling your aesthetic. And I think that's what
it kind of dilutes it, I think, in a lot of people's eyes.
That's
and it makes it trickier.
I honestly think it worked in Drop Dead. I think it worked. There was enough of a like narrative. It was more of a contextualized aesthetic, because if anyone hasn't seen the music video, it's set in Versailles. That I'm like, okay. But Olivia Rodrigo is kind of dancing around. The set is kind of set up like a bedroom. She's got her little headphones on and she's in pajamas. Like, it is just supposed to kind of be cute pajamas.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a baby doll in that context, which I personally think that's cute.
And it was definitely like, I don't want to like gaslight anyone. Like, it is like a certain like, there's like it's not just any regular old pajama. It's like there's a lingerie vibe to it, I would say.
Exactly.
But again, she's 23 years old. Like, that's fine. That's not.
Exactly.
That's totally fine for her to do. Like,
that felt very
that
like
didn't
in
come
context.
across as it didn't come across as childlike to me at all.
Yes.
Since we mentioned lingerie, should we get into a bit of the history of the Babydoll?
The 1960s.
The 1960s.
Let's launch into that.
Wow. I didn't do a huge amount of research. I feel like maybe you know a bit more about history-wise.
I
do know it kind of originated around. Well, I've seen some contradictory things, because I read somewhere that the term baby doll dress. The first mention is like 1921, which is a lot earlier than a lot of people are saying. But I think it came in as an actual like item of clothing in terms of lingerie in the 40s, like wartime.
Yes. It was wartime because it was, it's a very little piece of fabric. Like, we're rationing. We need little slippy things because that's all we've got the fabric for. So the baby doll dress. But it was not called that at that time. I don't know if it had a different name. Do we know?
No, I think it was just lingerie. I mean, I do think like looking at, I think that there is an undeniable connection between the silhouette and like children's clothing. And though it was for wartime rationing, like looking at 1940s children, like little girls' clothing, it very much so mimics that. I think based in like necessity of like chopping off the fabric and oops, it looks like a little girl's dress. And so I don't think that was like the intention behind like making a like nighttime dress, you know, in that style. But
this is my thing of like, it's just a really comfortable silhouette.
And I think that was the whole like, that's what it developed into, was like the purpose being, you know, less restriction in the waist, in the garment, as well as like, you know, women wanted their dresses to be shorter, and so that was like, you know, allowed for a certain level of like liberation in that way. But unfortunately, because men exist in the world, you know, 1955, like Lolita was published, that really changed, or I think was a reflection of society at the time in many ways, as books tend to be. And then I think it was, when was the play? 1955? Six? Yeah. So 1956, Tennessee Williams' Babydoll comes out, and it's a play. Yeah, it's a play. That's a play that basically
it was made into a film.
Yeah. That basically like has a 19-year-old girl marrying an older man, and he calls her Babydoll. She dresses in that Babydoll silhouette in like the lingerie, and she sleeps in a crib.
And like sucks her thumb, doesn't she?
And
like it's
thumb,
very it's very much.
It's a lot. It's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so like that really popularized the name, like calling that type of dress a Babydoll dress, even though it had been kind of like growing in popularity at the time in the 50s. I mean, I saw an ad sometime in the 1950s. It may have been post this play. That's an ad for a girl's dress, and they call it a Babydoll dress. So there was advertisement to children for this silhouette. There's advertisement to women for the silhouette. Balenciaga then picked up the silhouette, and I know a lot of people have been talking about Balenciaga's take on the Babydoll dress and how that kind of popularized the look in many ways. But you basically start in the 60s, you really start to have the difference between like the Babydoll lingerie and then the Babydoll dress to wear outside. And they're very distinctly different things, honest. From what I've seen, the Babydoll dress that's worn outside of the bedroom is definitely a little bit longer. Most of this, although there are some that start to really creep up by the end of the 60s. Well, it's
also coinciding with the miniskirt and Mary Quant.
Exactly.
And that whole, you know, the revolution of the miniskirt.
So the style of dress is different. And I think what we are frequently seeing now with the Babydoll dress is more so related to the lingerie. I know Olivia Rodrigo's dress that she wears is very much so in line with the lingerie from the 60s. And then what we see with like Lana Del Rey, Sabrina Carpenter, a lot of that is just the lingerie, which I'm not saying anything good or bad against that. Like it's just mimicking that style.
It's mimicking that. And I think there is like a context to that people pick up on, and which is fine, you know? Like,
I mean, they're all adult women. Yeah, exactly. So
since you mentioned Sabrina Carpenter, I will just I think we should just say that
she has been brought into this quite a bit. They're kind of because these two are kind of positioned as like rivals.
But I think what's interesting is that during her concert and her tour, obviously this was the Babydoll thing was a set piece of the whole concert set list, right? And no one had this kind of reaction to any of those. And I do think that that's very interesting. And I think it's what you had mentioned before is like it's very contextualized because the whole narrative of the concert is kind of giving 60s housewife.
Yes.
And her whole aesthetic very much leans into that.
I think she's honestly like what she did on the Short and Sweet tour though, and what she is kind of just doing as her, like, I feel like she's only a few steps away from like drag, you know, like it's very much like a very highly stylized, very specific, like it's almost performance art really is what she's doing with Short and Sweet. And I will say, like, while there certainly wasn't a reaction to this extent to her tour, there certainly was. Like, people were upset about some of the things.
Oh, yeah.
There was some backlash.
I mean,
No,
there
yeah,
was
I know what
obviously
you mean.
the album cover created a lot of
I forgot
controversy.
about all of that. So true.
So at least kind of my takeaway from looking into the 1960s and the Babydoll dress is that from what I'm seeing, the Babydoll, like, it eventually evolving into the Babydoll dress, like calling it the Babydoll dress, comes from the society's interpretation of that style, which, like, Babydoll, I mean, you're saying it's a child's baby doll's dress, like, that has a very specific context to it, and I think it comes from, obviously, from this play, from Tennessee Williams, from the society at the time, and I think it has an undertone, if not overtone, of pushing this very youthful aesthetic with women. If not this very, like, childlike aesthetic with women. Infantilized, exactly. And I think, so some of what I've been seeing online is, like, 1960s, they did the baby doll dress. So, like, why is there a problem? I think that's totally fine. Like, if you're referencing the baby doll dress from the 1960s, I mean, you see with, like, we just said about Sabrina Carpenter, like, contextualize, like, I think you can wear it and also, like, who cares what you're wearing, but it's coming from a very specific cultural context, and, like, the 1960s, it's not like it was a considerably better time period than what we're living in now. Like, pedophilia was, like, rampant in the 1960s.
Like, that's not the standard we should be applying everything we do now.
But I will, just small caveat to that, of, like, it was a style that was very popular with women, young women, not kids, just, like, 20-year-olds.
Adult women who were also young.
And it was seen as, like, a rebellion against expectations, and it was seen as a garment that was an expression of empowerment and freedom, and, it's part of Mary Quant's whole philosophy. So as much as, like, I completely agree with everything you're saying, I do also just want to add that, like, these women also had an autonomy and agency and chose to wear this garment.
100%.
Some of them just wore it because it was cute, I'm sure. But I think for a lot of them, this kind of burgeoning feminist ideology that was building into the 70s, this dress was kind of an expression of that, or part of that. Which, again, this whole video is just, like, nuanced. There is no one dialogue that is correct. And
we just kind of want to look at it from every angle.
Exactly,
I just think that there tends to be this, like, overwash with, like, talking about feminist references, that it's like, it's a feminist reference. Well, what were the feminists at the time referencing? What were they calling, like, what were they trying to go against? Subvert.
Ding,
exactly.
Ding,
like,
ding.
I think that's the issue. It's like, it's a feminist reference of the time, but do you know the feminist reference? Like, do you know why they held on to the baby doll dress, and they held on to the fact that men are calling them baby dolls? Like, that was a specific reference.
And I think that's a great segue into the reference that people are saying that this original dress, back to the Olivia Rodrigo dress, is referencing is 90s grunge.
And she mentioned that herself, didn't she mention Courtney Love? Yes.
There was reference of Courtney Love. No, I mean,
I don't want to steal your point.
It's not my point. But and I think all three of us had kind of like a reaction to that, because the 90s grunge was such a specific subculture, especially when it comes to the women involved in that subculture, because it was a largely male dominated, I can't say culture again, community. And a lot of the music was pretty degrading to women. There were very much female grunge bands, punk bands, but when they were on stage, they would have things be yelled at them, things thrown at them. They were not treated with any kind of respect. And so as a kind of response to that, there was this formation of, I guess it was a real group, but also more of an ideology of the Riot Girls. And this was about directly combating the sexism within the scene. And that is where this aesthetic comes from in terms of the baby doll. It was later by a male journalist dubbed Kinderwhore.
Which, can I give a little, can I have
Yeah,
10
please
seconds
do.
to rant on that? Because
Please do.
hate when in discussions of this, people are critical of it, and then people are like, oh, it's just Kinderwhore. Like, what are you freaking out about? It's just Kinderwhore. Hey, it's called Kinderwhore. You feel good saying that? Do you know what that means?
Even just saying it now, I was like, oh my
no,
God.
like, that's just because something has a name doesn't make it okay.
I think in many ways the same can be said about calling it a baby doll dress too.
Yeah, exactly.
So like maybe we just need a different name for it.
I think that's honestly the big thing. It's like
honestly, yeah,
it's
just called a baby doll dress.
So yeah, there's references to this grunge aesthetic, but as Em has just said, when you adopt a reference or you try to recreate a look, but then so completely remove it from its context, that's where the issues come in, I think. Mm-hmm. And, doing this whole aesthetic at a very corporate mainstream event
the Spotify billions
feel like, I mean, it is literally the antithesis of what punk and grunge was.
And so, I mean, that really brings us to something we've definitely spoken on before. It's just like the adoption of subcultures, the aesthetics of them without participating otherwise in the subculture. And that kind of creates what's the word? Like, people don't like it.
Dissonance,
it's dissonance. There's a little bit of,
I feel like with the 90s and punk and these women wearing this silhouette of dress, they were like, yes, they were referencing, I'm sure in some regard, they are referencing the 1960s and feminism at that time, but they're taking it and they're subverting it for their own specific context. Mm-hmm. Like, they're styling it in a very specific way. They're using lyrics that are, going against this like misogyny and patriarchy and infantilization of women. So they're taking it, but they're also making their own reference. And I think what we frequently run into in our current day is taking a reference and not making it, not subverting it, not making it relevant to, not building upon it. It's just, well, I'm just referencing this, which like, fine, cool, whatever. But like, if we're going to be putting this out there as your art, then it needs to be further subverted and put into our context. Like, what are you saying in this moment?
And that's kind of exactly what I was trying to get to earlier. Like, these women in the 90s who were doing this, they knew that this would be very controversial, because that's the whole point. It's subversive. You're going to make people upset. You're going to shock people. And so that's kind of like when I was saying before of like, you're a pop star, you lead a very privileged life. And like, these are the drawbacks, people are going to get mad at you for things. So when you do something like that, when you're referencing something that was controversial in the 90s and still is, like, we haven't really fully moved past that, especially with, as we said earlier, like the current events. When you do that, like, people are going to be mad. Like, that's kind of the point, right? Of like doing something subversive is people are going to be upset. You're trying to shock them. You're in a goal to ultimately change things, to change the way we view things. But, the first time people see it, which is not the first time, but you know what I mean? Like, in 20 years, like, if you're trying to revive this, there's going to be backlash. That's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. And I think that's what, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I have a feeling we're on the same page in terms of, when I listened to that podcast of Olivia Rodrigo talking about this, there was kind of a detachment there of kind of like, oh, I don't know why people are responding this way, which is totally valid. Like, she might not have expected it, but also what it kind of signals to me is that there wasn't much thought behind the styling, which is just like, for us, I think, because we understand the power that clothing can have and how, like, curating an image can really be impactful. It is frustrating when pop stars or like artists with as big a reach as this, as much resources as they have, to not come up with some kind of fully formed artistic expression. It's and listen, I don't you can't tell what, what she's doing is art, and it is her art.
Yeah.
And I'm not invalidating that at all. But I do just think, you compare it to an artist like Lady Gaga, who comes up with these like really well thought out concepts that have real, like you said, relevance to the current social and political climate. I don't think that all artists have to do that, but if you're gonna get a reaction,
yes,
you may as well try and
I think
say something.
I feel like this is almost like, because there are artists like you're saying, like not every artist is like Lady Gaga, is that involved in her own image making, and that's totally fine. I think it's almost just like the issue of, and this could be me being really like hoity-toity, but I think it's like the fact that you can see stylists who don't know clothing history. Like they don't know dress history, and they're just choosing things that are trendy and that are like, whatever. And so the stylists who are making that image potentially, and I know I'm saying a lot in this, like I'm projecting a lot, but potentially don't know or don't care to know the history of the clothing that they're having their artists wear. And so you have moments like this where people, freak out, and part of it is like, how much do we lay at the hands of her stylist, and because how much is she involved? I don't know how much she's involved in her own styling and like what she wants to wear. Like,
and I think too, like, it seems to me, the vibe I'm getting, because I watched that interview too, and it's like that there just seems to be a general like dissonance within her team of like what what image they're trying to project, like with her music is I feel, and this is my personal thing, I feel like her music is that she's releasing, I really like it. I feel like it's different than the image that's happening. And, again, like you said, it's her art, like she can do what she wants. But again, by her reaction, it seemed like she was kind of unaware of the history. So it's like, it's almost like the stylist or whoever else is kind of like almost, and I don't want to say this, but it's like, you're kind of like setting her up a little bit. It's like, well,
I think so.
Like,
I think, I do think Courtney Love is to blame. Not directly, but I think Olivia Rodrigo has mentioned in the past that Courtney Love is a big influence on her and big inspiration.
Yes, and
so I have a feeling they stuck her on the mood board. And then they were like, let's do that.
Meanwhile, Courtney Love wasn't even like I think she was kind of against the Riot Girls. Yeah.
But Courtey Love has been
also
defending.
Olivia Rodrigo hater. And then when it came to this,
and now
she is the support. She did some
there
stories.
Was drama
there are
a
some
few
screenshots somewhere.
Years ago where Olivia like recreated one of her images or like did something inspired, like the prom queen with the mascara dripping down her face, like a very iconic image that Courtney Love had already done. And Courtney kind of like, I think she went on social media and was like, oh, like kind of a little snarky about it. And then Olivia like was
shady.
like, she was like 19. She was like a teenager or something like at the time. And she was like, like, love you so much, Courtney. Like she was so sweet. She's like, love you so much, Courtney. And then Courtney responded like, my favorite florist is in LA. Like be like, oh, you should have sent me flowers. Just kind of a little too snarky to talk
catty.
To because she was like a teenager at that point, and
who idolizes her
potentially
who idolizes her
on brand a little bit.
But now I know that because Courtney Love is just kind of,
she's a complicated lady.
A complicated lady. But now
perfect.
she's coming to Olivia's defense for this one.
Should we read the caption for her story?
Yeah.
Me in my baby doll dress and bloomers watching Olivia Rodrigo get cooked by angry Twitter users. And she's standing there like this. But I do think that's kind of what happened, is that the stylist, like I think that her team wants to kind of push this like alternative grungy but doing it in a pop way, but it just doesn't, it's not quite working because they're not really
this is what happens when you put like countercultural aesthetics into like big mainstream and like big music labels. Like it's frequently just gets sanitized.
Yeah. And like we say, like, this is her art and she can do what she wants. Yes, that's true. But also, like, and people are going to interpret that however they please too. Like, that is also within the right of the viewer of the art to feel any type of way they want to about it. Like, that's kind of the whole point. So, and that's, should we get into now, like, when people are like, well, if you think there's a problem, then you're a freak. Like, because that, I think that is also
I just want to say
problem.
before we get into that, Olivia Rodrigo is a Disney kid. And I haven't heard a lot of people mentioning this in reference to it, because I do think a lot of it's the similar thing of the issues people have with how sexual Sabrina Carpenter is in her songs.
And like
Sabrina
Miley
Carpenter
Cyrus
also
too, I
being
think.
a child actor. Miley Cyrus. I do think Olivia Rodrigo is transitioning out of being known as a child actor into a, you know, fully grown adult woman. And I do just want to say that probably does play into the reaction.
Absolutely.
Because in a lot of people's minds, she is still a young girl. And so I can imagine that it's
a hard transition
wants
to make.
To reject and to let go
and
of.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say that too. I think her team and herself are having a hard time, like, finding this positioning of her as an adult.
Understandably, because like
And
she's 23, she's still figuring out
and
aesthetic
like
and
I think
art and
it's
all of that.
honestly, like, Sabrina Carpenter did it so seamlessly, but I think that she's kind of an outlier in that, because, you know, you think of like Miley Cyrus 10 however many years ago it was, you know, leaving Disney, and it was a whole big thing. And then I think of like with Taylor Swift, like, she was 16 when her first album came out, and she like kind of was on the opposite end of that, where like I think her team didn't want her to ever be like an adult woman. And I remember her being like 25 years old, and she would like be drinking a beer at a basketball game, and people would be like, she drinks. And it's like, so if you don't do it now, you kind of end up on the other side of that, where they like almost won't, like, never let you grow up. So and then you don't want to get stuck there either. It's tough.
So many layers.
So many layers. But yeah, I think to Maggie's earlier point, I think the issue with a lot of this online discourse is that there frequently has to be one singular opinion that is the accepted opinion, that's the like morally right opinion. And I think that is like where, and I'm speaking for us, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where we're really, our frustration lies, is like everything that we just said, 100%. And then also at the same time, she should be allowed to wear whatever the hell she wants to wear. In an ideal world, women should be allowed to wear whatever they want and not have to consider men being creepy or people generally being creepy. Like that is 100% true. And so I think it's like seeing how what online discourse has evolved into, where if you have a different opinion from the masses, you are immedially like you are like a social pariah. It's like it's aggressive. It's, you know, I've seen videos from content creators who I've actually really enjoyed their content in the past and their commentary in the past, and I've seen them talk about this situation and they're like, y'all are insane, do you even know the history? And it's like, that's a crazy way to frame a conversation and to be like to be throwing at people, like, and then at the same time, you know, these comments, like Sana, you mentioned that one comment at the beginning that's like, if you see this in this, but if you see her in this specific way, you're the problem. It's like that people can be critical of this, like people can be uncomfortable by this and have a conversation and engage in a conversation about this, and theorize, like, you know, what we, you know, the history of it and what we like and what we don't like that can be an open conversation. And also multiple truths can exist at once. Like it is not
and we'll
so
always consistent. Like it, you're never gonna get.
It's never black and white. It's always gray. And I think it's frustrating to see what online discourse has honestly evolved into. And I think it's the constant fear of canceling, of being canceled, of being
Yes.
seen as saying something wrong, and not like
It's like
learning
thought
from what you're
policing,
saying.
really.
Yeah, it's all policing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just
Yeah.
we're constantly policing ourselves
Because
and other people.
there are mainly like two takes I'm seeing on this. It's so polarizing. Yeah, like you were saying, it's either, oh my gosh, she's so like she's supporting a, I don't, should we say pedophile agenda?
Yeah, she's doing age
horrible.
pay, blah, blah,
She's
blah.
evil. Like, how dare she? And then the other side of that is, no, actually what she's doing is totally fine. And if you have any sort of discomfort over it, like, you're the evil one. You're the one like doing this thing. And it's really
You
just
sick
not
person.
that.
Essentially, you're the
You
pedophile,
sick
which is
person,
crazy.
You're the pedophile.
Like-
and it's like, I've seen too, like, a lot of people don't like the dress. That's fine. And we've talked about this again
you don't
before.
have
We've
to
talked about it multiple times. It's this like, you have to like moralize things you like or don't like. You can't just, it's fine to not like things. That's fine. You don't, but it's like, you have to like
There has to
make
be a
yourself
reason.
to be the bigger person. Like, you're on this like high ground. Like, it's the craziest development of like virtue signaling that we've had in the last few years.
Yeah. You know what also a reaction I find funny? I don't mind the dress. I just think the bloomers are weird. Why is she wearing a diaper? Girl, please.
Also, like, as if like bloomers haven't been like popping up, like
Exactly,
they never
they've
really
been
went
trendy
away,
for
but
years.
they're like really pop. And that specific style, I see it everywhere. I was in Target
It's
literally
really
yesterday.
big right now.
I was in Target yesterday, and Target is selling bloomers like that. Like, they're everywhere. And you can not like it. You can think that it looks like a diaper.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Have fun.
I'll say,
It's a pretty established style.
Established style.
Yeah, I'll say, because like I don't really like it. I didn't like what she wore at the concert, and that's that. There's no need to like. Yeah, I liked the Drop Dead one. I thought that was cute, but I didn't love this one. But who cares?
I like
I don't.
the conclusion that we came in the middle of the episode, which is we just need to rename it.
I think that's
Honestly,
ultimately it. Like, because I think that that name holds, and language is complex and like et cetera, but I haven't seen many people talking about like the physical name of the garment and how it
And how
signals.
we can call it something else.
We can call it something else, and it also signals pedophilia. Like, the reason why people have these reactions is because of the name. Like, a lot of it is because of that, and obviously the style and et cetera. Like, you can really go into a lot of these things, but like I really think we just need to call it just a mini dress,
Just a shift
like,
dress. It's
a
like
shift
a
dress.
Yeah,
I
a
got
mini
the
shift dress.
you guys.
Yeah, an empire waist, like whatever.
Yeah, we never defined
And
what a baby doll dress is, but
you guys know.
You guys are smart. You
Oh,
got it.
no.
Put some pictures up. No, and I think that is really the thing, and that's what all of us really spent a long time studying in university too, is just like, clothes do have meaning. Like, we could bring Barths into this right now. Clothes do have meaning.
Yeah,
Clothes do have meaning, but that meaning is not inherent. We give that meaning to the object by the things, or our predecessors have already given, and we can change it, but we have to change it. Then we have to do that work to do it.
It has to be an active process.
So like, yes, what I'll say is, should Olivia Rodrigo be able to wear whatever she wants? Yes,
100%.
absolutely. Everyone should. However, there is context to things that other people are going to pick up on, and that's also fine to pick up on. Like,
We live in a society.
And it's fine to feel however you want to feel about it. We live in a society.
We literally live in a society, and like, unfortunately, as much as you like want to like not put at the feet of women all of the horrors of misogyny and of infantilizing people and of pedophilia, like, we exist in a society, and that's not gone from our society.
Women,
and that's especially not gone from the music industry too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like, women, we are going to be perceived by men, unfortunately. Like, that is the prison we're in.
You can't wear the baby doll dress.
Yes.
It just means, as an artist who has wide reach viewership, gotta do something with it.
Yes, exactly.
Because it is a politically charged image.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a politically charged image in a politically charged time, and
Yeah, and we should say,
yeah, and it's like,
this is also in line with the weird scene in Euphoria and like cat's eye outfits.
Yes. It's a troubled time.
We live in a society.
It's not her responsibility how people perceive her, but it's also like, how should I put this? Like, it's not the responsibility of others to be like, no, I feel cool about this. This is fine. Like, no, people are going to feel however they want to feel, you know, and that's okay for them to feel that way.
But
what do you guys think?
If you're watching this, turn off the internet, go hang out with your friends. Olivia,
I hope she's detached.
I hope you have full control over your creative process. I hope you get to choose what you wear. And I hope this leads to some fun new projects.
So
guys,
that's pretty
if you
much
stuck around with us for that little rewindy.
Yeah, we're just chatting. It's a chatty.
And as always, it's just a conversation here.
It's just a conversation.
We're not saying anything is wrong or right. We're just talking about
We just wanted to look at some of the different angles, and we want to encourage you all to think about it.
Yeah, please
maybe in a different way, and tell us what you think.
Your response.
No, I'm very curious. Like, I almost want to put a poll. Like, are you pro or anti? Again, not that it's so.
No, Maggie, that's
much more
everything we've said in this video.
but like, where are you? Like, we'll make it a spectrum. Like, where are you?
We can say like, what was your initial reaction to it? Because I do think that's interesting.
What was your and like
that
have
immediate
you changed it?
response?
Have you changed your mind since? Maybe I don't know.
Because you can always change your mind.
And if you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, share, chit chat with us.
Please, we love chatting.
Check out our other videos. We've talked about Taylor Swift, Bridgerton, K-pop. We talk about all sorts of things.
We're big talkers. We have a lot to say, and we have a lot of opinions. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.